Oh, boy, hot one today. Whew, we didn't know they could get it this hot. So, let's talk about the environment. One of the big issues going around the world right now is these protests that are happening all over the world against fracking, pipelines, oil drilling, and the whole thing. We would prefer to just go get on renewable resources now, and it's going to be tough for a while. We're not going to have much power and things to work with, but we can do it. It's better than the alternative, and the alternative is terrible. So the Dakota Sioux and other tribes are meeting there in North Dakota and fighting this pipeline, this Dakota Access Pipeline, privately owned, put together by a bunch of companies that made another company. So big corporations making another corporation. So there's absolutely nobody in charge of it. But they've got the rights somehow for eminent domain so that they can just go anywhere they want in the US and just put a pipeline in regardless, even if it's not their land. What am I talking about? Well, the Dakota Sioux's land, you know, their reservation is the one that's being encroached on by this pipeline. They came in with bulldozers and just bulldozed sacred sites such as burial grounds and other type of temple sites that are around that area. These areas are places where tribes go to have their meetings and get-togethers and whatever else. And this company out of Texas that was made from the corporation comes in and starts putting in a pipeline and bulldozing anything and everything. So they objected. Okay, let's go over to the board and I'll show you what this looks like, this horrible pipeline. Alright, here's probably what they're planning on doing is because they weren't able to get the XL pipeline through. They're going to go ahead and do an alternative, a runaround. What the people have said before, they didn't want an XL pipeline to be carrying the Canadian tar sands down and clear down here to the Gulf of Mexico. So what they've come up with is the Dakota Access Pipeline. It starts up here in Dakota and kind of goes around. This is the whole Native American heritage area on these reservations that are being bulldozed. But here's the route of the pipeline. It goes through North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Illinois, where it meets up with the crude conversion pipeline and then goes down into the Gulf of Mexico, where that makes it so much easier. Now they're saying it's to carry all the oil that they're getting out of the fracking fields, but it's not too far away from where the Canadians can connect and get their oil, their horrible tar sands oil, pumped down there as well. So these companies have put $3.8 billion into financing it. And here's the list of all the financiers: Bank of America, HSBC, USB, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan. Mushy, these are not to be supported companies. Here's a map of the U.S. showing all the pipelines that are already in place. The little red squares are transfer stations, which are potential for leak areas. Here's a world map showing the U.S. and Europe's extreme amount of pipelines laid for both gas, oil, and refined oil. Alright, so more information is being this is being covered by Democracy Now! Amy Goodman, doing a really good job of covering this. I must say that Jill Stein is also there. I don't see Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or even Johnson there. I see Jill Stein there. Real revolution. Humans have been making a lot of heat since the 1900s on up, but since 1970 on up, humans have been ratcheting up the CO2 amounts more and more and more each year, and we're certainly paying for it now with this heat. So how important are the oceans to the planet Earth? Well, they're extremely important. Let me do a quick wipe here. I'm sweating, and nowadays you just have to bring a sweat cloth with you to deal with all this running water all over your space. All right, so 93% of all the heat, CO2 and all the other stuff that humans are making into heat is now going into the ocean. The problem is that the oceans are at their boiling point or their ending point. This is to continue. It will end all life in the ocean eventually, very quickly too. By 2100 there won't be much life at all left in the ocean at all. So what would happen if humans were here and the oceans weren't? How hot would we have gotten without the oceans being there? We would be 36 degrees Celsius warmer than we are now. In other words, we would have cooked ourselves that quickly. This new peer-reviewed study is showing that it looks like that once the oceans have taken in as much heat as they can, they will start releasing CO2 into the air, which will then speed up the process, pretty much killing everything on this planet pretty quickly once that process starts. They're saying 2050 might be the beginning of the end, and definitely by 2100 things won't look good at all. It'll be very hard to get food, very hard to get fresh water or any water at all. So the newest predictions are that the oceans will heat up 1 to 4 degrees within the next 100 years. If that was to happen, it would be a complete catastrophe if it heats up that much. The only thing we can do is now get off of fossil fuel altogether and just put up with living with renewable resources. Actually, I think that people will adjust to it very quickly. But if we don't, we're not going to live for very long. Okay, we have one more issue, and that's climate deniers. Who's paying these people to deny? Well, it looks like there are companies that are paying huge amounts of money to Congress and other leaders of our world. In fact, 130 people in the US Congress have gotten bribes, I mean contributions, from companies who are trying to deny that global climate change even exists. Who are these companies? DuPont, how about PepsiCo, AT&T, and yes, Google. Google is one of the big bribers of the no climate change is happening deniers. So let's just take an example. Apparently PepsiCo contributed $56,500 to people in Congress to look the other way when they're making decisions on climate. So the bribing continues not only in the war industry but also in the climate fight to get rid of the CO2 problem. And if people think we can do it with if you think we can wait until our governments solve this problem, you're wrong. It just came out, another study has come out, that human population is exploding exponentially faster and faster, and that it doesn't look like there's going to be a peak at all in population growth. Just the opposite. It will go until it collapses, and that is really dangerous. They're saying by 2050 it's going to get really dangerous around here because of people not getting enough food, getting upset, having wars, on and on and on. What we're already seeing. You know, there's only one candidate who's qualified, who's out there dealing with the pipelines, who's dealing with Black Lives Matter issues. She's there. She's always out there, and she's fighting for you. Down in the description area are a couple links. One to the Dakota pipeline issue with Democracy Now! So you can continue to follow that. And the other one is the map showing where this pipeline is. Why don't we go down there to the description area and click on those and continue your research. So just remember that if you look at what's happening in South and North Dakota and Wisconsin and other states here in the US, that's what real democracy looks like. So if you're ever wondering what it looks like, that's it. I have to say that I wish I could be there to video it. But I certainly appreciate all the new subscribers and the ups and the downs, and definitely the comments. I love comments. They've been down a little bit lately. Go ahead and just write right away, because you guys support what I'm saying or don't support what I'm saying, but at least you have your say on my channel. All right, until next time.